Okay, dear friends in Dhamma, we have come to the last question and answer session. So we'll start with written questions.
Avasarai Swamin Wahanse, there are 2 meditation questions and 2 Dhamma related questions.
Right.
Walking meditation. With a few thoughts arising on and off, was able to see the pressure exerted on each hip joint with each step. Observed different intensities of pressure exerted on the hip joints at different points. Sitting meditation. The breath thinned out but could feel its subtle presence at each nostril. Was acutely aware of the pain in the limbs after about 30 to 40 minutes, but did not have an urge to change the position. The limb and the pain it caused seemed far away and felt like a separate entity. The concentration felt like it was ascending with each subtle breath. And it seemed to have settled somewhere between the eyebrows. A feeling of serenity engulfed the mind, but was careful not to get attached to it. Much merit.
Good. May I know who has written it? Yeah, seems okay. I feel that certain dangers even in the kind of the concentration. So you are keeping it at a particular distance. At the same time, when there is no such concentration, different type of sensations are there, and those are also properly observed. Now, can you pass the mic? So, after observation, what do you understand?
Observation of the breath, you mean, Bhante?
I mean, different sensations maybe during walking.
Like a sort of a experiential, like knowing of nothingness, emptiness, like certain things that I have given a paramount value to is very trivial, like it just breaks down, like
right.
At that point, like people, situations and circumstances.
Right.
Whilst that intensity of a problem might still be there at that
particular time.
To that extent,
right.
Just because I'm in meditation, it has not resolved, but the value and the retaliation
right.
of myself is less.
Reduced.
Reduced.
So, now, after a while, now what do you think about your mind? Like, say, with respect to a particular incident, how long now it is wandering? How long is it pondering and thinking about it? Was it reducing now? I mean, spending hours, days, weeks?
During Kalalgoda, it's
okay, easy.
But other times, my practice is not very consistent, Bhante, to be honest, away from Kalalgoda actually.
Right.
But soon after, going from Kalalgoda, I noticed that I'm able to
maintain to some extent.
Yes, yes, Bhante.
I mean, if you are able to incorporate your practice to a daily, say, work during when you are, say, being in the ward round or whatever it is, so is it difficult?
No, it can be done. I don't think I'm doing it, Bhante, that's why.
Probably you can remind yourself. Say, for example, say, while you are working, time to time, hourly basis maybe, asking you, reminding you to be grounded. So rather than simply carried away by various different episodes of activities, so whenever say you are approaching a patient and you have that particular thing to do, and another thing to do, another thing to do, so the full of such incidents throughout the day, so probably you lose your ground. So, but time to time you coming back to your ground. Okay, I'm just standing, I'm just sitting, how the body is positioned. So likewise, time to time grounding yourself, earthing yourself will be pretty helpful. Because otherwise, continuously throughout the day we are in a different kind of a mind state, never being able to come back, never being able to rooted well. So this kind of reminders may help us to again abandon whatever the pent-up energy, whatever the pent-up stress, release it, calm down, relax. Okay, I am sitting now. Just now, this is how the body is positioned. So such likewise, at least you can time to time, if you can ground yourself, I feel, and on the other hand, if possible, you can watch the mind, watching the mind. So what are the thoughts coming and going, and so whether the agitation developing, any kind of an excitement developing, any worrying developing. So even though you do various work, you are maintaining another observation to the mind throughout, if you are able to. That's also very useful. You can try. Yeah.
Second question. Dear Bhante, sometimes I am getting some deep understanding on Dhamma points, but most of the time still I cannot properly communicate it, and after a few times I am forgetting it. Today also, in the very early morning, I wake up with some deep understanding on a Dhamma point. I will try to translate it to a language. Lobha, dosa, moha and all the hindrances are coming to our mind due to the limitation or boundaries we are keeping in our mind. And if we can eradicate all these boundaries available in our mind, that is the true starting point of understanding the Vijja and Vimukti.
Yeah, I can agree, yes.
After a few times, I started my walking meditation in a dark place, and I was able to clearly identify the very plain glass type of mind in front of my face. I was unable to identify the boundaries in that mind too. I thought it really matches with the Dhamma point today morning, which I understood. Within brackets, but I am not sure whether I am correct.
Now, basically, this is something that we have to properly align with the Buddha's teaching. Now, actually, the sutta I have taken even in the Kalakarama Sutta and many other suttas, where Buddha particularly pointing out how his mind is behaving in a way. So one particular area he highlights is that he doesn't have a limit to the mind. So there is no any kind of a boundary to the mind. Instead, he is called it Vimaryadikatena Cetasa. So there is no Maryada. Maryada typically means that there's a kind of a boundary, kind of a limitation, a particular fixed area. But there is no such boundary to his mind. So he encourages such mind to everyone, if possible. So sometimes we may be able to get it even in the samatha meditation. Say if one is practicing arupa jhana, so there the mind is not fixated onto a particular object, rather it is very much like open. On the other hand, say one is practicing metta meditation to a very higher level, it will lead to the metta ceto vimutti. There again the mind is quite open. Vipassana also very similar. In the Vipassana approach, the whole thing ultimately have to go towards that direction. We may be developing focused attention, fair amount of concentration at the beginning to properly focus onto different phenomena, but that is a temporary type of a thing in order to look at their true nature, how they are behaving. But later, when we are understanding impermanence, non-self, unsatisfactoriness, all that, so slowly the mind will start having some dispassion. Ultimately, the whole thing is given up. Now the freed mind is open, has to be open. So freed mind can't have a boundary. So the freed mind, so what we call as the anisita state or anupadana state, non-grasping state, non-associated state. So such a type of a mind can't have a limit. So you can't, because there is no even an object there, isn't it? So there is no object, no place to establish, and that mind is kind of appamana. That kind of naturally it has to be kind of a boundless mind. So that's why Buddha emphasized that the Vimaryadikatena Cetasa Viharami. So he is living with a mind with boundless type. There is no any kind of a boundary, any limitation to his mind. And on the other hand, our minds are being limited by raga, dosa, moha. So that's another interesting Dhamma point highlighted in the Mahavedalla Sutta. Rago ko also pamana karano, doso pamana karano, moho pamana karano. Pamana karana means our mind, the lust operating within the mind will limit the mind. So the dosa operating in the mind will limit the mind. Moha operating in the mind will limit the mind. So whenever you are particularly having some grudge towards a person, so you limit your mind. There's a person, there is you, and there is a grudge. So you limit the mind. You can't even see the other areas. So your mind is really fixated, and you are limiting your mind. Similarly, the lust, similarly the moha. So on the opposite has to happen as we develop vipassana. So the raga, dosa, moha is now reducing. Say you are at least temporarily coming to a completely unattached state. Even that unattached state has to be boundless. So this boundless nature is something that we need to recognize. So as you have properly pointed out, so it's something that we need to recognize. Okay, now, when there is no object, there is no any attachment, is the mind has any particular boundary? No, you can't find a boundary. It is basically it's boundless. There is no any area as such. There is no any fixed boundary is the best term, I think. So there is no such boundary. So mind has to be quite open. So the open awareness is some area that we then moving forward and keeping. Now there are other areas we can connect here. Now say someone is developing satipatthana and arriving this anisita-nupadana state. There is nothing to attach, nothing to hold, nothing to grasp. And now the mind may become kind of signless. So that signless is still fragile. It is still limited, only maybe for a short period, only to a limited area. But that's why it is called, when you are further enhancing it, you may be able to maintain for a while, and then it may be getting you to the animitta samadhi. Still fragile. But the goal is to reach the animitta ceto vimutti. Animitta ceto vimutti is where, so you have the complete freedom of the mind. Again, it is signless. So therefore, whatever, I think it's you, right? So your insight is correct. So when we step back and watch the mind, when the mind is unattached, it has to be also boundless. It is limitless. There is no limit to the mind. You can't find what is the demarcation of the mind. It's all spreaded like. Yeah. Can you pass the... Yeah.
Avasarai Bhante. Actually, I don't know about that sutta references.
Yeah. That's what it's my duty to connect it.
Yeah. I just understood today early morning.
Right.
And I matched again and again with whatever the things coming to my mind, and
right.
I explain in that way.
Correct.
And I want to clarify one more thing, Bhante. Staying without thoughts is one thing to me. And when most of the time I am getting the experience when doing the walking meditation and standing at the end of the path. Then when closing the eyes, I can see my mind in the plane, like a glass. I can see that,
right.
And I can't see any boundaries.
Boundaries, right.
That is another step.
Right.
And sometimes I am getting beyond that, it's a release in the mind. What is the difference of these three?
So, what is the experience that you are experiencing during this releasing state?
Very rarely I am getting that one. At that time it's a very calm, and I can stay long hours without doing anything. But other two, staying without thoughts is the normal thing.
Right.
But during the walking path is another thing.
During the walking path, so what's the difference? Now say mind also doesn't have a thought. During the walking also may not have the thoughts. So it is coinciding.
Yeah.
And other than no thoughts, so what is the difference?
No thoughts, but I can identify the mind clearly.
Also very clearly. There is no any hindrance, there is no any stains, no sanya. So crystal clear mind.
Yeah, it's in front of my face.
Correct.
That is another step.
Yeah.
But when doing
releasing also, because what I can see is these are related. These are not entirely different things. So your mind can't have a very crystal clear type of a state when it is talking.
Yeah.
The inner chatter has to be completely subsided. The inner chatter has to be stopped. And when it is purposely thinking, or we intentionally thinking, or it is going some kind of a thinking, you can't have this crystal clear mind. So you have to arrive a fair amount of inner silence to experience this crystal clear mind. So this crystal clear mind, what we sometimes call as stillness, is also boundless.
Yeah, sometimes I can identify very deep silent mind also. That is not coming in this state.
I think that maybe you are adding a samadhi factor into it. So these different states are there. Now say you are maintaining a stillness at a shallow level. Shallow in the sense there is no deeper samadhi. But there may be instances while you are there further and further, you are going to a deeper samadhi also. So there's an influence of samadhi also in that time. So you represent it, you interpret it telling, okay, this is deeper kind of a crystal clear mind. But I feel it's the influence of the samadhi is now becoming little prominent than you keeping it at the surface level. Now so assume that this is the ground level. So while in the ground level also you can maintain a purified mind. So while we are there, we can go to deeper, still purified mind, but some certain amount of influence of concentration is there. So your mind is very, very steady. Here little vulnerable because there is no protection of samadhi at all. So there may be a little possibility for you to being disturbed. But more you go deeper, since the protection of the samadhi is available, so you are very stable. But we need to be careful. So while in the samadhi, you might get absorbed to the samadhi, then you might get stuck in the samadhi. So that is another thing that we need to be little careful. So being in emptiness, maybe while in the surface, from the Vipassana point of view, may be much better than being in emptiness at a very deep concentrated level. But you might not get the bliss kind of a thing while in the surface. Very, very vulnerable, isn't it? It's very vulnerable. In case the defilements are there, quickly they will pop up. There is no protection. Only protection is the mindfulness. Sati is the only protection because you are aware, you are fully aware. So when a certain defilement arises, you can quickly trace it. That's the advantage we have. But that is from Vipassana point of view is very, very fruitful. Because ultimately, either we being in the very deeper samadhi, still we have to be responsible for the defilements. Just being in the deeper samadhi does not guarantee that we are abandoned in the defilements. So defilements are being abandoned when we see them, when we clearly recognize them. Janato and passato. So we have to know them. So I feel therefore being in the surface, but still maintaining a purified mind, crystal clear, pretty challenging. That is the area we have to develop. But no much bliss. No much bliss. Actually, I like to recommend Ajahn Buddhadasa's teachings on here. So Ajahn Buddhadasa is one eminent monk in Thailand. He passed away actually. He is very proficient in the academic side as well as in the meditation side. Ajahn Buddhadasa. So he particularly highlight this shallow samadhi, surface kind of living with atammeta. There is no any conditioning to the mind. Now when we are in the samadhi, we are a little bit conditioned in the mind, isn't it? So when we are with a kind of a metta, so we condition in the mind in a way. We are angry, we condition the mind. So what is the natural form of mind? Like just pure water. Pure water, can you remember the simile? The pure water, it is not conditioned. So when you add maybe heat to it, it get boil, condition. If you add color, it get different color, then again condition. If it is becoming sort of adding what we call the algae and all after a while, so again condition. If the mud and all this added and the turbulent, again condition. And once you turbulent, muddy water kept on the darkness, again condition. But the natural state of water is just pure, very simple water. So the mind also has to have that quality. That should be the aim that we have to maintain, if possible. So nothing is there. It's the most purest, natural form of the mind. Atammeta. It is not being conditioned by anything. No color, no heat, no any other desires. It's just a pure awareness. We can simply say it is mere pure awareness. So I feel we have to lead towards that side. Time to time get into a samadhi doesn't matter, because it may encourage us, that may heal the mind, it gives some inspiration, so I am experiencing some kind of a blissful state, some tasty state, doesn't matter, but maintaining fairly a shallow surface level mind, still very pure, completely unconditioned, should be very difficult also, but that is the one needs to be done.
There another part also.
Sorry?
Another part also.
Okay, yeah.
Yesterday and today during the Dhamma sermon time, I got a very calm state and I was very mindful too, but I cannot recall the Dhamma points. I cannot recall the Dhamma points. I have a doubt on whether I am in a deep concentration or empty place. Bhante, how can I clearly identify it?
Yeah, so that's why when we are in a deep concentrated level, so this concentration kind of blocks all our senses. You can't hear. You can hear but not registering, or you are not going to the level that understanding of the Dhamma, understanding the sense. Are you understanding also? Understanding but not registering in the mind. Understood. Got it. Then I should be okay. I feel it should be okay then. Because there may be instances when someone is in a deep concentration, you can't even hear things. It can happen also. But you may be in a certain concentration, but still you can hear, you can understand, but true, it is not being registered in the mind. That you don't need to worry. Because at that moment, if you understood it properly, then mind may make use of it. You don't need to store it and reflect it later. I mean, that is one type of learning also. We are talking that also. Say you are learning, the Dhamma is really good at the beginning, the middle, the end. So we hear again and again, we store so much of information, we memorize, we contemplate. So this is the Chintame Prajna. That is also having a value. But another thing is where, say you are maintaining certain emptiness in the mind, we do not emphasize storing. We do not purposely trying to memorize the thing. So at that moment we recognize, we understand, everything understood, gone. Mind is empty. Further mind is empty. That should be okay. Because memorizing, because Dhamma also has to be ultimately let go of. I am not telling that we are arahants, but we may have to get some benefit definitely. But we don't need to force the mind to memorize either. If we really like certain parts, it will be memorized automatically. Yeah, you need something? Yeah.
Bhante, actually now I am thinking that the Chintame Prajna is coming different. When I want, it's coming automatically.
Right.
That's what today morning also happened. Yesterday night I walked and get the calm state, and today early morning just pop up the
Right.
Uttama points.
Exactly. So that should be all right, because thing is, our thoughts are popping up, these insights are popping up from deep silence. Not the moment that we keep on thinking, then an insight pops up. Those are not really talked as insights. So those are mere kind of assumptions, maybe, based on our thinking. But even before we are talking of the typical Vipassana, so we are invited, we are requested to have a very much like free from inner chatter, free from any kind of thinking. So mind has to be fairly silent. Then only we do even the investigation, isn't it? So when we do the investigation of maybe feelings, thoughts, maybe different bodily phenomena, still the mind has to be a not thinking mind, and it is not a proliferating mind at all. And then, so when this deep silent mind, when it is observing things, immediately there pops up the insight. So similarly here also, so you are maintaining kind of a calm, relaxed mind, silent mind, but immediately an insight can pop up, no problem.
That is the Chintamaya Jnana.
That is the thing coming now.
Chintamaya.
Yeah. No, we can give different names. Chintamaya typically say we contemplate, we think, we rationalize, we logically think. Here you can't say it is the Chintamaya Prajna.
I am not.
These are kind of instantaneous kind of insights. These are typically called as insights. Chintamaya Prajna is different thing. You store fair amount of information, gather more information, and based on those information you do some mental analysis. Then you come to a further understanding, so that is called the Chintamaya Prajna. But these are different. These are not that.
Much merit.
Good. Another part? Yeah. Prashna Pattaraya.
Thesis.
Thesis.
Further today, early morning, after 1 hour very relaxed walking meditation, I did a 30 minutes sitting meditation without any specific object. I just stayed and observed my mind, but sometimes I felt about my hands. When just giving attention to the hands, I became further calm and peaceful. From time to time, few thoughts came, but did not disturb and cannot remember those thoughts either. Today I
cannot remember
those thoughts either.
Right.
Today I experienced, after writing this report also, I cannot remember a lot about the content of the report. During this retreat, most of the time I stayed with open mind, with lesser thoughts, and I am happy with current mental state. I understood a lot about the mind, and definitely it is difficult to get only by reading a book. I pay great respect to Bande.
Yeah. Correct. So there basically one point struck my mind. Maintaining that open mind is one thing, and less thoughts another thing. So this is how it has to be continued. So basically, so we are reaching kind of an inner silence. So that's what. So it is not a proliferating mind, it is not a noisy mind anymore, it's a silent mind. And it is not a must to think, but it doesn't mean we are prohibited to think. If necessary, the mind can think also. Thoughts can come. And Buddha also get the thoughts, time to time. Certain instances that Buddha also get certain thoughts. And he recognizes, okay, this is a particular thought. And it is not harmful. So you know the thought is also thought, but never go into the proliferation. So those are the areas we need to see. I mean, previous days, say several years ago, so we are often go to the proliferation, overthinking. But how often now are we going to that state, isn't it? So now, per day, per week, how many times I have spent overthinking, proliferating, prapancha. So if you can't find such instances, that means we are in a good shape. So actually, now different suttas are there. Now you know, even the Madhupindika Sutta. Even in the Madhupindika Sutta, Buddha particularly highlight, so if one is maintaining this non-proliferation for a long time, so that itself helps to abandon the anusayas. So this is a very, I mean, even though we feel like it's a kind of an inactive state, it is not really an unproductive state. It's a productive state. It is not that we are in a very deep samadhi and trying to maintain a silent mind. But even while walking and talking and, eating and all that, still the mind is silent. And Katakurunda Thero beautifully points out, when Buddha is preaching also, his mind is silent. You see, Buddha preached, but Buddha's mind is silent. Isn't it kind of contradicting? We think in order to talk, mind also has to talk. Now say, when I am talking, other than the words coming from my mind, is there any other thing I have to think? So typically that is the way we do, right? We think a lot and only a part will come out. While we do thinking so many things, certain part only comes out. But as we move forward, the words coming out, and maybe if it is necessary to think, that has to be well aligned. That's it, nothing else. So likewise, these are very interesting and subtle areas, by the way, in the practice. Now, say for example, you are seeing someone. When I see someone, if I judge him, right, other than seeing, if I judge him, then thoughts are coming, certain perceptions are, coming and coloring this view. So I don't have a pure view. The view being conditioned, colored by my own prepositions. So whatever that preconditioning, conceiving, and all that is very much like I am mixing to the experience. So how about having an experience without this mixture? So you can see, you can connect it even with the, if you refer Sona Sutta of Anguttara Nikaya Cakkanipata. So Venerable Sona points out, so whenever an Arahant is looking at something, he see, hear, smell, taste, touch, but his mind does not mix with that experience. Mere seeing, mere hearing, mere smelling, mere tasting, mere touching, but mind does not mix with the experience. Full awareness is there. It doesn't mean that the mind become blunt. You are fully aware, but nothing you add. So that's why it is called the visankaragatan citta. So there is no any particular preparation, any fabrication coming from your end. You are simply doing the experience. Experience has become a mere experience. Nothing being registered in the mind. So that's why we can't even remember what really has done and all that. Nothing being really registered in the mind. And again, the experience is very kind of a pure, fresh experience. You are not bringing anything from the past. When you are experiencing this with this particular instance, you are not taking anything from the past and mixing it here. It's an entirely new, fresh kind of an experience. It's a really beautiful path actually. So we become more human, isn't it? Actually, why we worry, why we cry and all that, because we take all that past experience and mix to the present moment. We are not fully open. When there is a new instances available for us to live, rather than taking it in a fresh way, we are bringing all our past ignorant conditioning and mixing it here, and then we continue our worries. But the new instance is a fresh moment, a fresh instance. But unluckily, we mix that also with our worries. Stupid. Just stupidity, mere stupidity. So more we realize these all stupid habits in our mind, then we have to abandon that. So we ourselves, by knowing all our past habits and all these, how we continue the worries and all that, we have to understand what a kind of foolish thing for me to do. Why can't I drop it, this past habit, and simply be aware, simply be fresh? No one is blocking you. Anyone blocking you? Nobody. I am the one. Yeah, we'll proceed.
Dhamma question, Bhante. Please may I know the exact difference between knowing and seeing in Sabbasava Sutra?
I think these are very much like coupled together. knowing and seeing. Janato and passato. Janato and passato. Now say there is a lustful thought appearing in the mind. So at that moment we have to recognize it. So your mindfulness has to point it out. There is lust. So now you see it. Yes, this is as a lustful thought. So you know that. I feel it is not a mere recognition, but you know that. A little bit added like. Say, I feel therefore this mere seeing is where you superficially get a kind of knowing its presence, but knowing may be a little bit more detailed. Okay, now this is the beginning of this is the middle of it, this is the passing away of it. So the knowing may be a little deeper. I am just adding my stuff. So basically, knowing may be a little deeper. Seeing may be still you see it from the outlook, but knowing may be little penetratively you are knowing. Certain deeper aspects of that particular phenomena you deeply know, but you can see from its outlook. So the seeing may be happening at the beginning, knowing successively, next instance where you are penetrated. So I feel therefore both are necessary. Because knowing might not happen without you seeing it. You notice it. Once you notice it, you can see it further. You can deeply see it. You deeply penetrate it. That's what I feel. Yeah.
Swamini Wahanse, දැනගන්නවයි දැක ගන්නවයි, like දැනගන්නවයි is from Shrutamaya Jnanaya. Then
like Sutamaya නෙමෙයි.
That's a different thing, is it?
Sutamaya Jnanaya simply say you read a book and know. Now say for example, Buddha says, okay, they say the elements are impermanent. Say Patavi Dhatu is impermanent. So that is as a knowledge you can gather it. So someone else saying into the preaching, you read the Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta and different suttas, and there are many places. Maybe a monk is preaching like that. You also can understand. Yes, it is impermanent. That is the Sutamaya Jnana. ඒක තමයි. එතෙන්දී එන්නේ. So when දැක ගන්නවා means, so you have to develop mindfulness, you have to develop a fair amount of concentration. You are now putting your attention to a particular phenomena. Now say the Patavi Dhatu is now showing its characteristics, hardness, softness, roughness, all that. It is showing now. Now you pay your attention there. Now you can see. Not in the book, but within, right now, you are experiencing, exactly. You are experiencing the behavior of the Patavi Dhatu. Now you see, not only you see, you also know the behavior. Yes, Buddha has mentioned, but now I see it. Buddha has mentioned the behavior of the Patavi Dhatu is impermanent, but I can see it now. I can understand it now by right now within this very body. Buddha has told that 2,600 years ago, but now I see it. It's a living Dhamma, isn't it? We are talking these things, you can see. So how much we can experience the Buddha's teaching even now. The tools what we need is the mindfulness, say the kind of the proper maintenance of the effort, paying attention. Then you can see it. You can penetrate it. Then you can say, yes, what Buddha has mentioned is quite correct. Then you get the unwavering faith. What he has mentioned is quite true, the Dhamma is quite true. Now you have, because your experience is now proving it. Yeah. Yeah.
Few years ago, when I am studying about number of 15 qualities of Buddha under Charana Dharma, I got a big interest to know more about Jagariyanu Yoga. Further, when reading the Sinhala version of the Ideal Solitude book, Uttaritara Hudekalawa, I saw one explanation on Jagariyanu Yoga Pariyanto as Baddekaratta Vihara. Further, I got to know that some meditation retreats are also available to practice the meditation in the whole night. Bhante, I kindly request to explain more about Jagarayana Yoga, including Sutta references, and the pros and cons for this application to current Vipassana meditation yogis.
Yeah, actually, the one definition of Jagarayana Yoga is actually that, as you know, maintaining a sleepless night, where you are maintaining, you are not going to sleep, you are fully awake, and that is one kind of even what we call Dutanga, austere practice. But as you said, but there is another meaning that you are keep on vigilant. You are not allowing any instance for you to be fooled, for you to be miss any kind of a defilement in the mind. You are maintaining very sharp mindfulness, and therefore you can recognize each and every whatever phenomena happening right now without missing them. So maybe thoughts, maybe whatever phenomena, Vedana, feelings, without your knowledge nothing can happen. We are maintaining very precise, very correct kind of a comprehension. So, which sutta you are referring, the Jagarayana Yoga, so that kind of a thing I can't remember. But I also can remember that there are these different things. One thing is the Dutanga related, that you are maintaining the sleepless type of behavior, that is one thing. But the other definition is also there, but I can't remember where it is, by the way. But there are sutta, can't remember, because there are 4 Bhaddekarata suttas. Any can't immediately know.
No, Bhante, when describing the meaning in the Bhaddekarata,
right,
it's mentioning that word in Sanda,
yeah,
but
no,
not directly. One place mentioning in that sutta.
Bhaddekarata sutta.
Yeah, in that book, it's mentioning one. I can't remember now.
Need to find it out. Jagarayana Yoga, you see. Bhojane Matanyuno Jagarayang Aniyutto. So as you said, I mean, it's coming under the 15 qualities of the Buddha. Arya Savako Jagarayang Aniyutto Saminata Uttring Vineti Sampajanyena Samannagato Hoti. Now say for example in the Datta Bhumi Sutta, Arya Savako Jagarayang Aniyutto Hoti. Yatoko Agnivesan Jagarayang Aniyutto. I need to find it out. Can't immediately find it. Sat Sampajanyena Samannagato Mahasaparandya I feel the main kind of maintaining some unbroken type of mindfulness, that should be the point, but I need to verify it. I'll try to tell it next time. Need to find it out. So the point is not mere you avoid the sleep, rather you being vigilant every time, you are fully awake every time. Maybe sleeping is okay. During the sleeping at night is all right, but during the daytime, even though you are awake, but if the defilements are happening and operating you and you being completely carried away by them, that means you are almost sleeping. Your mind is not sharp. But when you are awake, if the defilements and different feelings are happening, but you are fully aware of them, then you are maintaining this Jagarayana Yoga. That's what I feel, but need to verify. Okay, those are the questions we have received. Any other thing? We have a few more minutes. No more. Okay, then we can wind up the session. And we have received 2 notices. Today, breakfast dana was sponsored by Chaminda and Jayani Abesingha, who celebrated their birthdays in the month of December, and also to bless their daughters Uvini and Panchali. Panchali will celebrate her 19th birthday tomorrow. To share merits to their mother Sujata Abesingha, and who passed away 3 years ago. And then lunch dana was offered by Pali de Silva. Pali wishes to share merits of this deed with her late parents, grandparents, relatives and friends. May their sansaric journey be smooth and short and soon attain Nibbana. In addition, may these merits help all of us, Kalalgoda meditation group, to find relief in our journey through samsara until we reach our ultimate goal, Nibbana. Okay, those are the few notices that I have received related to the sharing of merits. So we are going to wind up the whole session. So we have spent a fair amount of time practicing for Satipatthanas and basically developing the 35 or 37 Bodhipakkhya Dhammas. And some of you have already involved with attending the Sangha. So many different kinds of wholesome activities were done. All the merit what we have accumulated will transfer to all the relatives, past relatives, all the deities and whoever in need of merits. And we wish these merits help us also to attain path, fruition, Nibbana. We'll recite the traditional verses. Etavatacha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Etavatacha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Etavatacha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkhantu sasanang. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddika numoditva cirang rakkhantu desanang. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkhantu mamparang. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, you may recite Namo Tassa 3 times to observe Ajiva Attamaka Sila.